In this video, I'm going to show how to configure a generic stereo microscope in the LAS X Hardware Configurator. And we do that in the, obviously, in the LAS X Hardware Configurator. And that is the icon as you see here. So I will press this icon. You can also find it if you search in the Windows search tool. And this is the first screen that pops up in the configurator, and we are going to go to hardware setup here. And how do I know that I need to configure a generic stereo microscope? So basically, a generic stereo microscope you need to configure if you have a Leica camera attached to a microscope from a different brand than Leica, or if you have a stereo microscope from an older version of Leica. So you can't find it in the list over Leica microscopes here. Then you know, okay, I have to go to generic stereo. And once you've done this, I can do like this just to show you. You will see that the values pop up here. And these are magnification values, and these are only important to get right if you intend to include scale bars or are performing measurements, or if you in the future want to know what magnification you used for acquiring your images, then these are important to get right. Otherwise, you will still get an image, but the magnification and therefore also measurements will be incorrect. So what you want to do is enter the zoom knob values first of all, and the zoom knob values you'll find on your microscope on the zoom knob, obviously. And you can have a different amount. It's the click stops, more or less. And you can use this for continuous zoom or for click stop zooms, but use the values that you see on your microscope. And then you also need the magnification power of your eyepieces, and the eyepieces has or have 10x magnification standard. But if you have 16x, then you can obviously just enter this here, or you can enter whatever. And often you find the magnification power on the eyepieces if you don't know what they are. The tube is the part that that your eyepieces are attached on or mounted on. So the tube typically has a 1x magnification factor. Otherwise, it's typically written on the tube that okay, it's a 1.25 or 1.6, but standard is that the tube has a 1x magnification power. So I will leave 1x here. And then the next part is the objective, and the objective can be a lot of different magnifications. In this case, we have 0.63. It could be 0.5 for the long working distance objectives, for instance. And then we just enter this here. Also, typically always written on the objective. Maybe you have a ring light in the way, and then just deattach it and check if you don't know what objective magnification power you have. And then video objective. It sounds like objective, but it's not similar at all, actually. So the video objective is the adapter that goes to your camera, and that adapter always has a magnification factor in order to fit the light path to your camera sensor. And for large sensor it's 1, but more common is 0.55 or no 0.5 in stereo microscope applications, or maybe 0.63. It could be 1, it could be even bigger, but make sure you get this right. And also here you more or less always find the magnification power on the adapter, at least for Leica adapters. And the last part here is the accessories, and accessories typically is 1. If you have a coaxial illuminator, for instance, then that illuminator has a magnification power of 1.5, and is written on the accessory as well that it is 1.5. So make sure you look closely on your microscope and the accessories you're using. If you have magnification powers, if you're not using a coaxial illuminator, then in most of the cases it will always be 1 in magnification power here. And when we have done this, we can just press apply, and then we can press OK, and we can close the hardware configurator, and we can enter LAS X and go ahead with our imaging.